So South Africa are taking on the Japanese at Wembley Stadium this weekend to start off the November internationals. For Japan, they played last week up against the Australians. They had a close fixture, almost able to pull off the upset, but South Africa, they have stacked their side. There's quite a few changes compared to what we are used to seeing, but that is a Rassie special. And in this preview, we'll be looking through at the lineups, the key players to watch out for, also the previous head-to-head between these two sides, and then a prediction at the end of the video. But jumping straight into it, starting with South Africa's lineup, as they did announce it very early in the week. Like I mentioned, Rassie special, but looking through at the front row, it is Oxenshare alongside Malcolm Marx, and then the youngster, Zachary Porthen, gets the opportunity as the number 3. He has come from their under-20 system for the Springboks. He is an absolutely phenomenal player, a big opportunity to see what he can do at international level. He'll be going up against Kobayashi in the front row here, so a bit of a test at scrum time, but having Malcolm Marx and having Oxenshare alongside you, sure makes a debut that little bit easier. Looking through at the lock enjoy, this is where we see Arge Snyman as the number 4. Now, there were concerns throughout the week that man may have a bit of an injury from his most recent game of the URC, but does not seem to be the case as he slots in as the number 4 here. Lutiacha, he is there as the 5. He's been consistent since returning from his injury, but it's a dangerous duo in the locks for South Africa. They have got plenty of height. They also have that line-out steal ability, and also those offloads of Snyman as well. In the loose forward trio, this is where we do see Sio Kolisi, the captain, as the number 6. Number 7, Franco Mostert. He's an extremely versatile player, can play in that loose forward trio as well as in the locks if needed. And Jasper Visa, he will close out the 4-pack, a very physical man. He's going head-to-head with Michael Leach. And at this game in the back line, Kobus Reinach and Sasha Feinberg Ngame Zulu will be that 9 and 10 combination. What started as a bit of an impact role for these two turned into starting lineup opportunities, and at the moment I'd say it's the strongest duo that they have got available and at that department. Although of course when you look through at the squad, someone like a Grant Williams, Marnie Libok, he's been playing fantastic rugby. Andre Pollard doesn't even feature in this side, could certainly take the reins there, and also a Morne Vandenberg return not too far in the future as well. In the midfield combo, it will be Damien Dealende alongside Jesse Kriel, so 2 experienced veterans for the Boks. Damien Dealende has said how excited he is to go head-to-head with the Japanese side, some of which he plays alongside in League One. Out on the left wing, it is Kutli Arendse for his international Springbok return. Number 14, Ethan Hooker, did play recently for the Sharks in the URC. And then number 15, this is where we do see Cheslin Colby, so a bit of a switch. That is down to injuries. Damien Willem's a bit of a hamstring problem. Alongside him, we have seen Apalele Fasi already out with an injury. Willie LaRue, he is not injured, but he also isn't in the squad. So that is where Colby, he's played 15 before, can slot straight back in to that role off the bench for the South Africans. It's a bit of an intriguing one because it is theoretically a 6-2 split, but one of the forwards is Andre Estes, and a man who has played more so as a 12, but he does have that hybrid role up his sleeve. Rassie obviously deciding that for this game up against Japan, they don't necessarily need a specialist loose forward in this case, so quite a bit of confidence heading into the side with this selection. But Grant Williams and Marnie Libok, they will be the back replacements for the Boks as well. Looking through at the starting lineup for the Japanese, it is pretty similar to what we saw last week up against the Australians. So Eddie Jones trying to build a bit of consistency across his starting side. It is Kenta Kobayashi as the number 1. Kenji Saito slots in at 2. Now, I believe that is due to the injury of Hayate Ira. He did end up picking up some sort of knock in the game up against the Australians. And then at number 3, they have got Takeuchi, him versus Oxenshare. It's probably not one of those head-to-heads that a lot of people think of, but he's been in phenomenal form over the last 24 or so months, so hopefully he can continue that in the head-to-head. With the Ox in the locking duo, it will be Jack Cornelsen alongside Warner Durns. He is also the captain for the Japanese in this contest. He has been consistent all throughout this year. Jack Cornelsen partnering nicely in that locking duo, and that's where these two have to really use their size up against South Africa. Can't get bullied out there on the park. But someone like a Warner Durns, he likes to throw that weight around a little bit too. So him versus Lutiacha, very intriguing one For this contest in the loose forward trio, it will be Ben Gunter as the number 6. In the number 7 jersey, it is Kanji Shimokawa. And then number 8, the veteran Michael Leach, making his international return just last week up against the Wallabies. Did not look at all out of place. So he is once again getting the starting chance in the 9-10 combination. It is Shinobu Fujiwara alongside Seun-Sun Lee. As the 10 in the midfield combination, Charlie Lawrence and Dylan Riley. I actually mentioned earlier on in the week that one of the head-to-heads that I think could be quite an intriguing one is Dylan Riley versus Jesse Creel. Both have a lot of pace, a good amount of ability on defence, but I do think that Dylan Riley really could have his hands full throughout this match. Up against the Boks in the back three, it is Tomoki Asada out on the left wing. Out on the right wing, it is Kepa Ishida. And then at 15 to close out the starting lineup, Yoshitaka Yazaki to close out this Japanese starting side. Off of the bench, quite a few changes compared to what we saw last week. So it seems like that starting lineup is a lot more secure at the moment for Japan, although we did see a couple injuries, like I mentioned, up against Australia. So that has affected selection a bit for Japan. But jumping straight into the key players for these two sides, when you look through at this starting lineup for the Springboks, the question mark for me at the moment is around how Cheslin Kolbe will go in that 15 jersey. Now, the answer should be simple, and that's very well, because he's Cheslin Kolbe. But you just wonder whether or not, up against a side like Japan, who are pretty decent with their territory kicking, will Cheslin Kolbe have that perfect positioning that he is after? I think yes, but it's always an intriguing one to see. That positional switch in the midfield combination, I'm looking forward to seeing Damien Dialendi in this game. He is one that has a little bit of pressure on his jersey at the moment. Someone like an Andre Esterhazen is really pushing to get that kind of 12 role alongside Damien Valimza when he isn't injured. So plenty of guys going for that 12 jersey, and some have even decided to switch out Damien Dialendi from their sides now, but I do think he's still got plenty to offer for that inside centre role. In the fullback, there are so many great options, but I do think that Arges Neyman is the one that comes to mind. His offloading ability, the work in the lineouts, he is going to be a real handful for the Brave Blossoms in this game. In terms of the starting lineup for the Japanese, I think the veteran Michael Leach is the first that comes to mind. He played well up against Australia, but he's going to have to play absolutely phenomenally in this game up against South Africa if they want any chance of being able to get the victory. Same can be said about the captain, Warner Dearns, in that 5 jersey. Such a talented young player, but when you've got 2 world-class locks across from you, you have to make sure there are very little errors that you are making throughout the match. And then in the back line, I think Seun-Sun Lee, just for that goal-kicking ability. Now, I'm not saying Japan should be taking 3-pointers, but if they score tries and they do get the occasional penalty, Seun-Sun Lee, you back him more times than not to be able to get those kicks over. So that is exactly what the Japanese need to do. Just keep that scoreboard ticking over at Wembley. A little bit more pressure on the Boks, but more than likely, this one's going to be pretty high scoring. But jumping into a few of the interesting stats. Now, when I looked up on Rugby Pass the previous head-to-heads between these two sides, it was quite interesting because there's only one game that is actually shown, and that is the 26-3 victory for South Africa up against Japan in the 2019 World Cup. Now, throughout that game, we did see 2 tries from Makazole Mapimpi, and then also Faf de Klerk was the other try scorer. But, of course, that is not the only time that these two sides have played. There was a massive Japan victory in the past before that match that, for some reason, Rugby Pass don't decide to show. But Japan, they have been able to do it before. Yes, it is going to have to take an absolute miracle of a performance to be able to get the job done, but they kept Australia tight. I'm not sure what the weather report is looking like for Wembley at this stage, but I'd say they probably want a little bit of rain if there's a chance of getting a bit closer with the South African team. But in terms of a prediction, I do think that South Africa, as much as I want to say Japan could be close, it's just such a dangerous lineup. So I'm going to be harsh and hope to be wrong, but I'm going 43-15 in favour of South Africa. But of course, do let me know who you think will be winning this match. These two sides playing at 5:10 a.m. New Zealand time or 6:10 p.m. for you guys in South Africa. It is at Wembley, so a neutral ground, but both of these sides will want to start their November on an absolute high. South Africa, they have got a long tour ahead of them, so 1 win from 1 is a great way to start, whereas for the Japanese, after that narrow loss to Australia last week, they would love absolutely nothing more than to find the miracle victory in this matchup. But do, of course, let me know what your score predictions are in the comments down below. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all for the next one.